The FBI and the Justice Department want zero accountability, so you've got that deep state interest in hiding this information as well. We are, again, going after the Biden Justice Department over illegal secrecy designed to protect the Justice Department and the Hillary gang, the Obama gang, and frankly, as I said, the Biden gang, from accountability for their misconduct. As he was leaving office, shortly before he left office, President Trump authorized the declassification and the release of key documents about the illicit spy operation against Trump and his associates. And those documents have yet to be released by the Biden Justice Department, even though they were specifically authorized for release. And we just sued for them. We filed for lawsuits related to the declassification order and release order by President Trump for certain records related to Crossfire Hurricane, which is the technical term, I think, that corrupt FBI agent Peter Strzok came up with. He issued this order, and they didn't release the records. We asked for these records back in February of this year. All records related to the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation that were provided to the White House by the Department of Justice on or about December 30th, 2020. So this was a batch of documents that they sent over to the president for him to review to decide whether he would declassify them or otherwise make them available to the public. And then we cite the memorandum that he signed authorizing the disclosure, and I'll read you the memo in a minute. And then we want records about the decision to keep this I shouldn't say garbage, because I don't know if it is garbage. Maybe it is garbage if you believe that the records will show corruption. I guess it's evidence of garbage, right? A garbage investigation of all records and communications between any official or employee of the DOJ and any other agency regarding the declassification and release of the records that we're seeking. So he signed the memo just 2 days before he left, I believe on January 19th, 2021. And he'd authorized the disclosure, the declassification and release of these records. And here's the memo. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, I hereby direct the following. Declassification and release. At my request on December 30th, 2020, the Department of Justice provided the White House with a binder of materials related to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Portions of the documents in the binder have remained classified and have not been released to the Congress or the public. I requested the documents so that the declassification review could be performed, and so I could determine to what extent materials in the binder should be released in unclassified form. I determined that the materials in the binder should be declassified to the maximum extent possible. In response, and as part of the iterative process of the declassification review, under a cover letter dated January 17th, 2021, the FBI noted its continuing objection to any further declassification of the materials in the binder, and also on the basis of a review that included intelligence community equities, identified the passages that it believed was most crucial to keep from public disclosure. And he even granted that. He said, I have determined to accept the redactions proposed for continued classification by the FBI in that January 17th submission. So he's trying to get the information out, and still the FBI is trying to cover it up. I hereby declassify the remaining materials in the binder. This is my final determination. Final determination. So it's the law, practically speaking, under the declassification review, and I've directed the Attorney General to implement the redactions proposed in the FBI's January 17th submission and return to the White House an appropriately redacted copy. My decision to declassify materials within the binder is subject to the limits identified above and does not extend to materials that must be protected from disclosure pursuant to the orders of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, and does not require the disclosure of certain personally identify information or any other materials that must be protected from disclosure under applicable law. Accordingly, at my direction, the Attorney General has conducted an appropriate review to ensure that materials provided in the binder may be disclosed by the White House in accordance with applicable law. So, translation, release the records. We've been fighting about this for years. I've listened to what the FBI has to say. I've listened to what the intelligence community has to say. They can keep certain material still secret, but other material still needs to be released. Now, John Solomon, the investigative reporter, who's also been dogged in trying to get access to this information, he reported that the documents include transcripts of intercepts made by the FBI of Trump aides, a declassified copy of the final FISA warrant approved by an intelligence court, and the tasking orders and debriefings of the two main confidential human sources, Christopher Steele, Hillary's guy, and Stephen Halper, Obama's guy. He worked for the Defense Department and the CIA, I think. The Bureau used to investigate whether Trump had colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 election. So the seditious Obama-Biden and deep state campaign to spy on and abuse Trump is the worst, again, government corruption scandal in American history. And to make matters worse, the Biden DOJ simply refuses to release what are obviously smoking gun documents, because they wouldn't keep them quiet otherwise, about its corruption that the American people have an absolute right to see. So again, it's Judicial Watch doing this sort of basic heavy lifting to vindicate your right to know about this terrible corruption scandal. And they have records that would implicate the Obama administration in misconduct. And of course, Joe Biden was at the scene of the crime there too. And of course, institutionally, the FBI and the Justice Department want zero accountability, so you've got that deep state interest in hiding this information as well. And once again, it's Judicial Watch in the forefront of this fight. We've done more than virtually anyone else to uncover the truth about the spy operations against Trump. What did we uncover? We uncovered, for instance, the secret FISA warrants that were full of lies and material omissions that were used to fool the FISA courts into approving spy warrants on Carter Page, and through him, obviously, the whole Trump team. There had never been FISA warrants, applications for FISA warrants had never been released publicly before until Judicial Watch sued and got them. We also exposed how the FISA courts, in an abdication of responsibility, didn't bother to hold hearings on these unprecedented and obviously controversial FISA warrants. Oh, you want to spy on the president? Oh, I don't need to have a hearing on it. You just give me the documents and I'll just rubber stamp them. We exposed that. We exposed key FBI 302 reports. What are 302 reports? Well, the FBI has this scam where they send agents to meet with you and they don't record what you say. What they do is they take notes and they go back and write a report, who knows when, after the fact, and that report is the official government document about what you said. Does that sound legit to you? It doesn't sound legit to me, but it's what they've been doing for years, and it's the records that we rely on in trying to gain access or figure out what they've been up to. And they've had these FBI 302 reports about Christopher Steele, about Bruce Orr, the DOJ official whose wife worked with Christopher Steele and for the Clinton operation, who practically speaking had a desk at the Justice Department, our document disclosures have found. You know, when these documents showed that Bruce Orr and DOJ and FBI, they knew all about Christopher Steele in terms of where he was at, in terms of being an agent of Hillary. We also found that Christopher Steele was an FBI asset and was being paid by the FBI the same time he was being paid by Hillary Clinton's campaign. It was a joint operation to target Trump. Judicial Watch uncovered that. all sorts of other things. I could go on, but you get the point. Where's Durham on all this? AWOL, as far as I'm concerned. So you can tell I'm kind of ticked. I was laughing at my colleagues beforehand. I'm hungry, so I'm really angry. But I'm also outraged at the corruption that we're uncovering. So it's a double whammy there. I'm outraged and hungry. But I'm also hungry for justice here. We need these documents. And so it's now been a year and a half, well over a year and a half, after Joe Biden came into the White House, and they've been sitting on these documents that President Trump, specifically under the powers of the presidency, authorized the release of. And again, it's up to little old Judicial Watch to go in and take on the FBI, DOJ, Leviathan in federal court. And thank God that we're in America still, because I know we complain, but we still have the rule of law in some measure, or in large measure, and they have to explain themselves now to a court as to why they're hiding this information from us. So no matter what, at least we're getting some accountability, and we're going to force some answers as to this cover-up. Thank God for Judicial Watch. That's all I can say. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.